Sure.
Pretty good plan.
So we have had a couple of conversations about the sewer rates, so less about the sewer department itself, more about the rates and the ordinance. So I worked out a rate for the meeting here. I was working on the costs, taking the current number of users and all that. I think you have like a sample of that I put out a while ago in your packets. And so right now, put things in perspective. Yep. Right now, to put things in, this is a little more detailed than that there. We have a total budget without the north end sewer.
Can you explain that to me, guys? So the north end is what?
No,
Yep, so basically the north end sewer is part of, that's like the mall area in on this side of town. And that is all part of the Norway Sewer District. So we pay them for that. So what they'll end up happening is they'll bill us for all the charges in the north end sewer, which I think is like 17 accounts or something like that. It's pretty minimal. And then we turn around and then we bill the individual users on our end. So that's usually pretty damn close to a wash.
Yeah.
You know, because we get their rates and stuff. So that's why I take it out. So for our own sewer system, the budget to run that is $398,117. So current revenue this year, I don't know that I like that part. Current revenue this year is, sorry about that. Current revenue this year is $176,615.
That's to what?
Well, that's the, excuse me. Allow me to revisit that. All right, so this is, I'm making a projection for the year based on the users and the rates that we have currently. So the projected amount for this year would be $176,615. And just correcting my little spreadsheet here, so bear with me. Alright, bear with me one second here. I love it when you get talking and then you realize that you made a mistake, right? Love it. Doesn't happen. Alright, so when I look at that, that means we're running a $221,000 shortfall this year on our sewer. This is excluding debt service. Debt service for the sewer department is a regular payment of over $800,000 that we pay in debt service for the sewer lines. So right now, the TIF has been used to pay for that. It's $822,900 this year. TIF's been paying for that. So I don't know that we want to bring that into this conversation because we're frankly not going to make that up. So based on that $221,000 shortfall, if we then look at standby fees, which the ordinance authorizes us to do, and based on the number of laterals that we have available, 178, based on what the ordinance tells us for a standby fee would be quarterly, $76.25, we would bring in for a year $54,290 in standby fees if we did that. So that, what's that? $54,290.
54,000 to the 176. Was it 176 you said it generated?
176 is
176 was the revenue, projected revenue.
170 something, right? 160
Yeah.
something.
176,615 for projected revenue for this year.
No, well, I'm saying not though, that's what you have. If you had that, I thought that's where you were going to go with that.
No,
My bad.
he had that. Whatever it was,
Yeah, the 42 to the 180 of revenue, you get 220. It's 400, it's 180 left over, right? And round numbers. That
roughly.
falls $50 on the whole tax base instead of just, at the end of the day, it's 50, would you just say that? Yeah, right here, 30.
Yeah, I found a little calculation error, that's why I'm pausing a little bit, because I wanna make sure I'm giving you the right info, and I apologize that so then if we,
170.
if we end up adding in the 54,290. Gonna go ahead and.
How many laterals did you say that was?
178.
178.
Okay.
Now, one thing to keep in mind with that is that we're working with the information that we have from Woodland Current at the time, which is wonderful, but we have run into some discrepancies along the way with how many things are available and what's not and so forth. The other thing to keep in mind too is that some of these laterals, they were supposed to, my understanding when I read the documents from before, they're supposed to install a lateral for every available property along the way so everybody could hook up. Well, even if they did that, as of today, we've had lots of lot splits and so forth, so some of these laterals could service, 3 different properties. One lateral could service the casino, the hotel, and Hampton Inn, potentially. So it's just a matter of, but we don't have any way of really easily, projecting how many people could be on one lot. So we have
How will we, Adam, sorry to interrupt, but how will we accurately bill for this? So if we were to approve a standby fee, how would we get that information?
So what we would end up doing is taking the tax maps, the GIS map, and anything, as it says in there, within 300 feet of if it abuts where the pipe goes by, then everything within that zone would end up getting a standby fee if they're not on the sewer. So if you own property and it abuts the sewer line, you're getting a standby fee. That's how the ordinance reads.
Was that within 300 feet?
I think it was within 300 feet. I think that's what we had to look up the other day.
300, you have it here, yeah.
Dana found it, left me hanging. But, so, that's, I based my standby fee on just how many laterals we had, because I figured that was a good, probably round number before we go into the weeds too far on trying to figure that out.
I think it's safe to say it's gonna be more.
I think so.
Yeah, right.
Because they did with the snow tubing park was, and there's one.
There you go.
That, and it's 2 feet below the grade, so the guy, that house subdivision, that put a pump system in. I'm like, you're freaking kidding me, that main's 12 feet down.
So why do you put a pump in?
Because that lateral they ran across to that lot,
It's too high.
you can kick the dirt and it's sitting right there and going like, you are flipping kidding me.
Yeah, but it seems like every one of these that they hook up, they tell us it's one place, and quite often it ain't there.
Okay, anyway, sorry, yeah.
So anyway, so based on 178 laterals, if we charged a standby fee to each lateral, keeping this simple, we would still end up being 167,000 in whole. So, I played with some numbers as though if we were to increase the fees and when I broke even was when we're talking about unit charge, which is basically you're hooked on the sewer, so you get a base charge, and then you get your consumption charge, which is 4 cents for every gallon, or $4 for every 100 gallons that you use, your cubic gallons that you use. And then if you aren't on city water, you can just get a base charge, and that's $152.50. So if we were to look at going from a base rate from $83 to $110 per quarter, a consumption rate of 10 cents a gallon, and then the base rate for if you don't have city water of $2.83, and how I figured that was the current base rate it's the unit charge. The unit charge is based on the average gallons used, and when you look at all of our users are using about 1,700 gallons. I'm rounding on some of this stuff. It's about 1,700 gallons plus the unit charge. That's kind of how we came up with the base rate before. So using that same method brings us $283 for a no city water charge. And then a standby fee would be $141.90 because it's 50%, the standby fee is 50% of the base rate.
Right.
And then if we did that, we would have an estimated revenue of $399.53, so $399,053, which would put us $930 ahead of the game. So that's a pretty big wallop to do based on 178 laterals. So to get there, but you're going again from $83 to
Well, and I thank you for putting this all together. My only concern is it's not accurate. And I don't mean, but like, we need to know how many subscribers there are to that's awesome that you did that based on these available connections, but we really need to know, is the number more like 210?
what, with how many people are on there?
How many people would be
Eligible to be on,
Or
eligible to be charged for the standby fee?
based on what, I mean, look, I'm not trying to make excuses here. Based on what we have from Woodard and Curran, it's 178 laterals available. So there's, at a minimum, there's 178 more users that could be on there. But, I'm sorry if I misunderstood and can go into enough detail on actually taking the tax map and adding up all of the properties.
No, but don't you agree? I mean, this number could, if we have 300 potential people that we're gonna charge a standby fee, it could change how much we would, potentially how much we would charge a standby fee. The standby fee is based on a bunch of numbers you just kicked out, but basically half of what we're charging existing users, right? I mean, would that be okay to cut short and say that's what it is? It's half the rate of the.
half of the base.
Yep, half the base rate. That's what the ordinance says, yeah.
So, and it sounds to me by what you were just saying is we can increase or decrease the base rate at our will.
Yep.
Rather than, another option would be to change the ordinance.
Yep.
So one of the reasons we're sitting here is because we have an ordinance and we're not following it.
The ordinance had to be written that way to get the money. It had to be in there. So when it was originally drawn up, if that word, the word had to be in there, so there was a backup plan. Saying you don't get this money anywhere else, it had to be written in there so they could go after it went by. And technically, I think anywhere that sewer line goes by, whether there's a lateral there or not, you can still hook into it.
Yes, you are correct.
So if you were to go do that, if you were gonna go by this standby, if that's the way you headed, I think you gotta look at every place that sewer line goes by to be fair. That'd be just like 10 cents worth. I'm not saying that I'm promoting or demoting.
Yeah,
And I don't know what that number is, and I think that's more of what he's getting at.
Yeah.
Am I?
Yeah, no, you nailed it, yeah.
I'm tracking with you.
If I was talking Spanish, my apologies.
Can we grab that off the GIS?
We can bring up the GIS and then we just have to physically count the lots. Because we don't have sewer lines on our GIS. So that's something that we haven't done.
But we have a
But we know
pretty
where they are.
general idea.
Right, we know where they are, so you can just highlight the roads and then count off the.
Because when they sold it to us, they did, they were gonna put so many places to hook up to, and they did it, but technically, it was sold that if that sewer line went by, you could get hooked to it somehow.
Yeah, at a bare minimum, the laterals at the time represented the number of lots on the sewer line. So, I mean, I don't know how many splits there's been since then, I'm not imagining that there's been like 50, but
I bet there's some,
there has been some. So, depending on where this discussion got, I was hoping this got us in the ballpark of where we wanted to go, so.
I think it gets the conversation started, right? I mean, I feel like that's a very minimum. The only reason why I even bring it up is because when we start talking about bringing the base rate up to cover it, I'm thinking we don't even really know what the real potential income is based on the standby fee. We don't really know exact accurately how many people would be potentially charged a standby fee. You know, I'm not opposed to considering rewording the ordinance if we can. Maybe we can't. Well, maybe it has to stay that way because that's the way it was written to get the grant. I don't know. But we have an ordinance that says we can charge a standby fee. We have the sewer, the sewer line, running, $220,000 negative, not including the debt service, just in operating, we have a negative here. So one of the ways we can curb that is ask the people who benefit most from it to kick in a little bit more. And that's your standby fee. So we have a standby fee. It's an ordinance that everybody voted on. Now, I voted on it too. I was here. And I know at the time it was said, we're not gonna charge you, don't worry about it. But we voted for it. And I don't like this. I don't wanna go to, friends of mine who don't have two nickels rubbed together and say, hey, we get caught up another 340 minimum a year because the sewer goes by our place. This isn't something I wanna do, but it's a way to relieve some of that burden that's causing us because we don't have enough subscribers yet to really offset that.
Can I ask a question? So, does the board, I would agree we need to look at these rates and we need to look at the standby fees. And we've chatted about this in the past. I mean, does the board have an appetite to adjust these rates? Is that what we're saying?
I think if you go adjust it on just what you've got for users on it, you're probably gonna, I don't know if that's gonna, you're not gonna make any of them people happy, I'm sure. And they got on it thinking other people would get on it, which, I think it would be a hard sell to just go after the ones that are on it that are directly benefit.
So standby fees probably should be part of the conversation.
Well, it's gotta be part of the conversation, you're gonna deal, I'm not saying that I'm working for them either. But I, as far as the conversation, if you're gonna do it, I think you gotta go with the people, with your, people that get on it, and I almost think you gotta try to come up with a real number of how many houses are involved that it will, I don't think you can just go say, well, this guy's got a pipe over to his driveway, I didn't have one, so I'm not getting it. I think you gotta be,
So
maybe I'm wrong, but
I do think we're going to have to do the work to find out as accurate a number as we can, properties that would be subject to a standby fee. That could connect if needed to. Just because that is, the difference between 175 and maybe 275 is quite a bit. However, I wasn't on the board, and I didn't believe I was even in Oxford when they passed this and made it subject to a standby fee, so you have to pay for something that you're not gonna use. Because if you just built a house and you just put a brand new septic system in, why would you get rid of that to hook up the town water and sewer? I wouldn't.
no, but it was said that.
I understand it's
until
part
your
of
system
when
fails.
that system fails, you have to. There's no option then, there's no, you gotta put a new septic system in and pay a standby fee, that's not there, you will connect, you'll be forced to connect. But I would rather see the cost, the shortage that we have spread amongst the entire town than the 250 homes and businesses that may be subject to a standby fee. And I'm one of those, I'm never gonna be on it, but I would pay my portion, which is a much smaller portion, because if you're gonna put that difference on the standby fees, that's a substantial amount, like you said, on people that are paying for something they're not using.
How, do we know, or do you know, Adam, exactly how many, if you was to take the properties of all the properties in town, just, you know,
The cost per
if you
property.
was to spread it out amongst all the residents, I mean, you know, he's got a point.
How many tax bills do we have in the
I mean,
town?
that's what we're doing, guys. We're already doing that.
I would, my 1 of 5 opinion is that's what we continue to do before we try to take $300 from your neighbor and your neighbor and blah, blah.
And I just, to be on the other side of that, and it might be blunt, but I feel like what you're saying to me is before we actually do what we said we would do, and that is we have an ordinance, the people who have that house, where the line goes by, had a chance to vote, yes, I want it, or no, I don't want it. They voted, the majority of the town voted to say, yes, we want a sewer line, and yes, we agree to have a standby fee. They had a chance to speak up, and they had a chance to vote it down. They could vote it in. Again, I don't like this. I have close personal friends that this will affect. It's a big, $300 is a ton of money to them, right? I'm not here because I'd like to do this. I'm here to say we have this on, either we need to rewrite the ordinance,
I'm not opposed to that.
or we need to consider charging a standby fee. And I think you can, if we can legally rewrite the ordinance, we could write some relief in there. We could, if you needed some sort of a, if it was gonna be a burden on you, they could send a letter into the, to the town manager asking to be relieved from that somehow. There's a bunch of different things we can do here besides just dropping the hammer and saying, hey, this is how we're gonna pay for it, and the rate's gonna go up, and if you don't like it, too bad. I think there's another way to go about it.
So if I may, the only thing that I would chime in on that is I get my years mixed up now sometimes. I think it was two years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, we, meaning the board and the town, we did a grant program for people. We advertised it, we put it out there, and we were using funds to hook people up to the sewer, and I think that was great. We did about 20-ish people, whatever it was. And the board and the manager discussed that if we did that year-long push, that when we came to the end of that, we would revisit the standby fee. Because we tried to incentivize, we tried to make it, easy for people.
I think the fact of the matter is, if I'm living where I would have to go on this line, and my system is working, why would I stop using my system, pay to connect to the town system, and have another monthly payment that I gotta pay every month? When I have a working system that I already paid for.
And that's what the standby fee is about. Because you have a working system and you don't want to tie into it. I said this at the selectmen's meeting, and I believe this, and it's factual. When you put when the town water and town sewer went by your property, your value went up. You benefited from that. You already benefited from it. Your value went from 100,000 to maybe 108,000 or 110,000. It's factual that's a more desirable lot. If you have, the person I had to be talking about, that this is a huge burden, if I had to guess, they have an acre maybe. They went from having a shitty rundown trailer with a probably failing septic system right now and a dug well, a lot that was worth 25 grand. Now it's worth probably 75. Their value is there. Their value went up. Floyd has property along that route. His property value went up.
And their assessment went up when we reassessed, and their taxes already,
Sure.
like everybody else's.
Sure. But it went up.
Again, we're gonna hit them again if we charge a standby fee.
If we actually do what we voted on, we're gonna hit them again. We're gonna do what the people voted on, including them. I don't like it, and that's how I see it. That's all I'm explaining. That's how I see it.
We can agree to disagree on
Yeah.
the standby fee. I agree with what you're saying, that it was voted on by anybody that showed up.
And it has potential revenue of $50,000.
Well, it's not really revenue, it's just gonna offset everybody else's taxes, $5 a year. Really.
If you want to bet, I'm a gambler, I'll bet somebody says we don't go down $5 on our taxes. We're gonna use that money somewhere else. Am I 2 for 2? I keep score, I can't help it, it's my mentality. I'm just saying, guys, we need to consider this, and if we're not gonna do it, rewrite the ordinance and get rid of it. Just get rid of the standby fee then, in which I may or may not vote for, I don't know yet, I had to think about it. But you have it sitting there, and it's not just a tool, it's something you voted on, and this this is one of our biggest, it's sucking a ton of money out of you, a fair amount of money, not a ton, but a fair amount of money that can be used elsewhere.
I think if you're gonna, maybe one way to look at the standby fee is right now the ordinance specifically says how the standby fee is calculated. So maybe we leave the standby fee in the ordinance, but say that the selectmen have the authority to set the standby fee up to this amount. Like up to half of the base rate or up to 3/4 of the base rate or what have you. So that you guys would then have the ability to adjust that sum. You know, I mean, if we're running into a year, for some reason you folks feel like it's too much of an ask, you could just do a quarter, you know, instead of half. Or some years you feel like it needs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that could be language we could look at. But traditionally, this board has not had the desire to, implement the standby fee. So it stands to reason we would remove it if you're not gonna do it.
The mistake we made was actually doing that. We should have been like every other municipality, I'm sorry, if it was by your house, you couldn't get anything.
It's just the way it works.
I argued that when we were doing this, and it's like, still says we signed a piece of paper that at the end of the first year, we had to have X number of users, and I'm pretty sure today, we still don't meet that number. What do you, Steve?
Boy, so a lot of the information that Mr. Bridges fed us on this whole system was not exactly as presented. And it, from the original date that the first year we had to go in and redo all the wall over again and change all them panels. They should have made that. And I argued about it at the time, and it was, we couldn't mess with it, that was terrible, because he was the greatest guy since sliced bread. As far as the septic, the town septic system, or, the whole deal, I gotta believe that we still do need that. I don't, the right way to pay for it, or how, the information that was given to the board at that time was that, people would get on this would be, and it wasn't gonna be so expensive, and, that ain't the way it come out, that's all. I don't know.
Right.
You can point fingers wherever you wanna point.
No need to point fingers, where do we find a solution? So you have a clause in there to charge a standby fee for this for what's happening right now, in my opinion. That's why it's there. So when you didn't inevitably get enough subscribers, which we need to work on and look at how we get more subscribers on it too. I think that's hugely important, because that standby fee could actually go down if we re-language it, where the more subscribers you get, it lightens the burden. I'm not looking to make money here. I don't think the town needs to make money on the wastewater treatment facility. I'm just saying, let's offset it.
I think it's safe to say you're not going to.
Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, I mean, just at that alone, you're gonna make money,
But we can change the standby fee to a set rate as well, right? Doesn't necessarily have to be half of it.
I mean, at this point, that's what I was looking for in reading the ordinance is very clear. I will charge a standby fee, and it will be this amount. And this board, this town, has never enforced that. Long before you were on the board, long before I was on the board, before I think anybody sitting here on the board. So, the question
was on the board.
well, he might have been off, and
I could have been on it.
Depends on how many people you
You never
mention.
get that.
So, I guess the question is, do we want to charge a standby fee, and or do we want to reword the ordinance? And if we redo the ordinance, is there a means to require, again, not something that I want to do, but force subscribers on the system within a time frame?
I don't know at this point if that's a possibility. I know that the purpose of the standby fee is to incentivize people to hook on to the pipe. So the fact that we're not, right now, because we're not charging standby fees, there's no incentive to hook on. Except if your septic fails and you have to install a new one, you're required by the ordinance to hook on.
Let's be honest. There's 5 of us sitting right here, probably we all know somebody who's fixed their septic, right? Like this, septics aren't failing very often in the town office. You probably know someone with the backhoe that's gonna come in and fix that on, like, it's just what it is. Not right, wrong, or indifferent. I think Adam's 100% right. Scott's nephew and my son works for him, just bought a house right on 26. Probably gonna subdivide it. They have no incentive to tie into the sewer. There's no reason, except for maybe, I don't know what the permitting is for a duplex, because I know they think we're going duplex. That should be a catch. Listen, I'm not trying to sell travel here, but that should be a catch, right? Because that should change what that septic can handle and probably require a different septic system, but that's just a prime example. A house changed hands on 26 within that zone, and the new buyer's not gonna hook on it, he's gonna rent it, why would he? Let's rent it out and wait for it to fail. I think we could change the ordinance maybe when you sell your property.
But that should be a clause that if you're changing the use of it from a single dwelling to.
Sure.
Well, technically, I mean, if you put a duplex in, you gotta get another permit for that.
Sure.
So that should.
A bad example, let's just go back to a single family, let's just go, it's sold, maybe it's something when it sells, you require, let's just have that conversation of how do we get more subscribers, and at the end of the day, that's the goal here, is to put more people on it, and then the people who do directly benefit from it by using it are fine paying it, and again, the old McDonald's or Walmart, the more we get, the less it should cost them too.
So I would be more in favor of a standby fee. I don't like the thought of someone requiring to hook up if they come into town and buy a property. They're buying at whatever rate it is now, right? And then, oh, hey, by the way, it's another 10 grand because where you're buying is change in ownership, you have to put 10 grand to hook on the sewer.
Would you negotiate
I
that with
would.
the buyer and seller? I wouldn't.
I guess that's up to them, but I would be more in favor of a flat standby fee without.
Okay.
I mean, if somebody come in doing $75 compared to quarterly, compared to saying 10 grand, figure it out either way, right? Whether they negotiate it or not.
And what's gonna happen if they don't pay their standby fee? I didn't see that in there.
So we'll take this a step further. All right.
Here, I think I saw it.
So the way that the sewer billing is supposed to work is that we've been just billing it out, and this is something that I think that based on these conversations that we need to correct moving forward, is that when you're billing the sewer, you're actually supposed to be committing it every quarter. What that means is it's almost like a tax commitment, so that when we bill this out, we assess these sewer bills to all of these users. And what that does is that gives us as the town the teeth that if you don't pay your sewer bill, we can lien your property. And then it follows a very, very similar track as though you're not paying your taxes. So we can go through the lien process. You can even foreclose on a property for failure to pay your sewer bill, as long as we are doing our part as far as committing that. The town used to do that 10 years ago or whatever, but it hasn't happened for quite some time.
I don't like that, personally.
Well, we're gonna probably put something to somebody don't like it.
But there's your teeth, is that.
Again, that's where I feel like,
Change those the seats again.
if you don't
Have
pay
a
it,
seat.
so John and Mary, friends of mine, don't pay it, you can't afford it, they don't pay it. We just lien the property when they sell their property, exactly what I'm saying. You have the option to pay your past due standby fee or hook it. I don't know, that's why I say maybe we need to rewrite some of this, so I do have a heart, I do care for people who legitimately can't afford it. And I think there's gotta be maybe some other verbiage in there that
Well,
I can't see foreclosing on.
So you say you don't wanna be able to lean?
No, I don't want to foreclose on it, I don't want to take it.
so that.
You can't be
that's,
one or the other.
because that's your teeth.
That's what it comes down to.
That's your teeth, is so, we're not doing, as we just discussed, we're not doing the standby fee, as Dana just said, it's in the ordinance, it's pretty clear. We're not committing these sewer bills as we probably should be, we're just billing and we're getting payments and so forth. But that is why the state statute that exists on how you can handle the sewer bills. And that's how the municipality, I don't wanna say guarantees, but guarantees that they're gonna get paid to pay for these, for the infrastructure, so. If you're going to adjust your revenue stream, if you were to go that route, we committed it, we had an accurate number on the standby fee, and people get standby fee for us. That would incentivize people to probably hook on potentially too. Sure.
Just the, if you put the lien on it, you eventually get your money. Rather than taking it when the property changes hands, you get your money, which is similar to just writing something in there that says, if a property
You'll get
changes
your
hands.
money if the property sells. Sure. Because that have to clear all the liens. If you don't sell it, then you're going to come to a point, just like we do with people that aren't paying their taxes, of foreclosing on a property that they didn't pay their taxes, or they didn't pay their standby fees, or their sewer bill.
Which to me is a little different, right? Like I feel like that's a different scenario than not paying property taxes.
Well, your standby fee could potentially be higher
As soon as the bill's
than
not
property
done.
taxes, we could
Right.
just waive.
And then the thing is, I don't think you can sit there and not foreclose on people for not paying the bill, but over here, we're gonna enact this, but we're not gonna enforce it. If you're gonna enforce one, you enforce one, right? Just like if it's in the ordinance for standby fee, we're gonna do it,
So
so.
I'm saying we could consider changing the order.
Correct. Either we enact it or we take it out, one or the other.
No amendment, there's no room to rework it.
What's the point of reworking if you didn't use it?
You have
Rework
to-
it so we can use it.
Then use it.
And an ordinance would have to be voted on by the tax.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So it change, we're gonna change it.
Which gives them a voice, which gives those people who don't want that a voice to speak on.
So if there's an appetite for this, then why don't I do this? I will, between now and the next meeting, I'll have an accurate number, not of laterals, but how many properties that it appears would be affected by the standby fee. And then I can use the same calculation method that I've used here, and we can adjust the rates to show when we actually break even.
So I totally agree. I would appreciate the effort. The point of this conversation is to enact it or not, whether there's 200 people or 250 people. It doesn't matter. You're not gonna change the rate. It's a matter of, do we want to enact it or not? So that information would be great, but it shouldn't have an influence whether we're gonna do it or not.
I think it would actually make a difference, because it could be the difference between $330 and $80. I think that would sway me one way or the other.
Because the number of users won't matter unless you change it, because the ordinance is specific on how much the standby fee is.
You're right, we'd have to change, right, we'd have to change the fee. Right. We're just gonna work the number, right? That's what Adam's doing, he's working the number to fit to pay the 400,000, 390 something thousand, right? He's saying if we charge the base rate here.
170 shortfall.
Yeah, as we move the base rate up, because we're charging up to half the base rate, that'll bring the revenue to this 400,000, rounding up 400,000. If we have, the more people we have on the standby fee, maybe the base rate comes down. That's why having an accurate number is important.
No, I understand that. I'm just thinking more, instead of hitting everybody at once to take bites at this thing, that instead of doubling the base fee and putting standby fees in, that if you just enact a standby fee, it's already $55,000-ish. We're not even used to that. So it's like, we're gonna either go for the gauntlet or not, is what I'm hearing. Like, this is about standby fee, not raising rates. That's the first I've heard of raising rates is tonight. Right?
Well, it's what we've done.
Fine.
We have adjusted the rate.
And my personal take on the rates, it should be what a fair rate is comparable to other
What other towns are paying,
towns are
basically.
charging for sewer and water. I mean, they don't wanna double anybody's rate, but if it needs to go up to stay, you know.
I mean, that's a significant rate hike that's been thrown out.
Which wouldn't.
Is that the normal increase that we do?
Well, no, But it's for discussion purposes.
Yeah,
We're
sure,
doing this.
well, that's what I'm trying to figure
We're
out.
trying to illustrate, based on what information we have, trying to illustrate what kind of adjustments to the rates we would need to make just to break even regardless of debt service.
Right.
So,
Right,
So that's my point. He's basing on 124 on the standby, 194 laterals available. That's what we based it on, 194. If that goes to 270, that number's gonna be less.
sure.
That's why I say, I think it is important to have an accurate number. We're not just voting on voting on the standby fee, sure, but if it's 330, what would you have in here, for the standby fee, Adam, it was $333 or something,
Yeah, basically 76 a quarter.
376. If you, based on this 194, if you had 400, it's gonna be 150 something. The standby fee.
yeah, so the one that you're looking at right there, I mean, I've got more accurate information because I actually took some of the updated users and stuff, so I apologize. It's 178 is the number of laterals available right now that we would charge. So we've got new information since that older packet stuff you've got.
We
So,
know that's not right. We know there's more properties than 170.
available.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong though? Maybe I'm confused. Am I wrong in saying that the more potential standby users, the less the rate, the more the rate could come down, that you could decrease the rate to cover the $400,000 expense, but not debt service.
Right. I'm saying that there's 178 laterals available, but to your point, if that actually means that there's 210 properties that abut the pipe, then that's 210, to your point, 210 standby fees we could charge potentially.
And that would lower the rate, correct?
Right, because that would be,
So we have an inaccurate number, which should give us a better picture of what the rate would actually be for the standby. If we took a vote tonight and said, we want to impose a $383 standby rate fee, it may not pass. But if that standby fee is $127 annually, would you consider that?
Annually?
Yeah, but
Yeah, it'd be annually, right? 300. What's the $300? That was your annual.
that would be annually what the standby fee would be to somebody that's not hooked up.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Right.
So, yeah, but we're only at 152 right now. To break even, it's 283. All right? That 75 is based on the 152. So no matter what, even if that 283 hypothetically, like you're saying, if that comes down to 250, the standby fee is still gonna be 125.
Right.
So you're still going up higher than just the 75 fee we're not even charging right now. Just because there's more users, if you increase the rate and you cut the standby fee half of what the rate is, if you're jacking the rate up 100%, you're jacking the standby fee up 100% too,
I don't know.
right? Am I wrong?
You got me
I
confused.
think I think what Phil is bringing the point out, if we got all the people that were on there, and, you know, whether that more than what's the lateral thing is there, that he's gonna generate more money. So at the fee that we've got on this paper here, instead of coming up with 54,000, maybe we get 75,000. And
I
he's
get
saying
that.
that's gonna take a little bit of the dozen. Am I right on that, Phil, or what do you think? It ain't gonna change, we're still gonna have to charge him, but it's not gonna cover the debt, but it'll get closer.
You're right, and I fully understand that, but what I'm
Oh,
saying
okay, well,
is,
that's why I thought he was,
if we raise the base rate to any individual, right now they're paying 152.
to cover this, cover the whole
Okay.
picture you're looking
If
at?
we raise it to 283 hypothetically.
Yeah.
If our standby fee is half of that, the standby fee is now gonna be 90 a quarter. 90, now we're gonna be up to 360 instead of 330. Now, even if that comes down a little bit, your standby fee is still gonna be more than the 75 you're paying now. Right? The question is, the whole point of this was a standby fee. I think raising rates to whatever the number that may be should be maybe tabled to the next meeting or something, but I think we need to decide if we're gonna do standby fee or not.
We can't do
At
that.
75.
We can't do that at a workshop. We can decide, but we have to vote.
Yeah, this is basically hashed out.
Well, sure.
We can maybe come up with a more accurate number of where we're headed.
well, yes, if that's what the board wishes, then that's what we'll do, is on the next agenda, I will have a sewer rate setting as that. I'll have proposed rates for you based on how many standby fees I think that we can charge, looking at the maps and, and that item. But Ernie is correct. We need to, are we gonna charge a standby fee or not? Because that is going to affect what we have to charge for a base rate if we wanna break even. If we're not interested in breaking even,
You're not gonna break even.
I'll go first. I'm not gonna vote to charge a $305 a year standby fee.
I'm not in.
I'm one of five. I'm willing to discuss reworking the language in the ordinance and putting it in front of the people. And they can either reaffirm that number, or we can have a little bit more flexibility on where we set the standby rate.
So, again, I'll just be clear. You two don't wanna enforce an ordinance that was voted on by the townspeople. That's what you're saying. You don't wanna enforce that.
I do not.
I'm not gonna give them the total number. I'm not gonna charge it to anybody just because it was by their place. So.
And that's why it's important to have an accurate number.
I
The standby fee will be different depending on how many people are on
But
standby.
your standby fee, again, depending on how many it is, 194 is only making up $60,000.
Well, we don't have to increase the rate to cover it all either. We
I'm
can
not
still.
saying about if you don't do anything with the rate, if it comes out, we do have 194, and we know it's more, but 194 at 300 and whatever the amount was, $305 a year is only $59,000. You're only, but it's still not covering the difference in the sewer budget.
So this goes back to a couple $100 in overtime. Like, where do we start? Guys, where do we start? Like, here's $59,000.
My start is I'm not gonna put it on 200 people out of the town, 4,000.
Well, it's
That's
more
my
than 200 people. Well, we don't know. So don't we?
300 people, 400 people.
You're not gonna, you wouldn't put it on 400 people.
Rather than have the entire tax base. I don't call the fire department every day, but I still pay my share. I don't have kids in school, I still pay my share, right?
Yeah.
I don't use the sewer department, and I never am going to, but I'll still pay my share. That's my viewpoint.
I think the way the ordinance is written now without changing it is not really, and I agree, the sewer system is a debt to the town. And personally, I think it needs to be handled as any other debt to the town. Until, again, I'll make my comment that I think, personally, I think we messed up, that it should have been, if it goes by your house, you're hooking onto it. But we missed that boat, so now, granted, there was revenue there, but I think now that it's a debt to the town, so I think we're kind of reinstating
So I think it's fair to say, if you three feel that way, then there's no need to even take the time to figure out how many people could possibly charge the standby.
No, I want to know that. I think it's important that we know that, because I do think we're not going to enforce the ordinance, and no other board has ever enforced it. I do think it needs to be changed.
You're right there, for sure.
so would that be maybe I will plan on the next meeting bringing to you folks a more up-to-date number, as we just discussed. I will still bring some proposed rates for that discussion. But maybe we also will discuss at that same time our proposal for the ordinance change, so we can get that in the works, for how we want to maybe massage the standby fee portion. If town meeting comes and they vote to remove the standby fee or make that adjustment, then that's what we enforce. If town meeting votes to keep the standby fee in the ordinance, that would be an application that we need to then enforce it, or
I guess I'm just wondering then, what's the thought process as far as curbing this gap? That's such an age in this town, so. Just Like keep going the way it is.
Well, I think there's still some discussion to be had. I'm asking one of those to look at it. And rather than us just force feeding that, maybe through some workshops or whatever, we can come up with something. Throw it back to the people at that thing.
Fair enough. I'm getting.
You think I'm wrong with that? Well, I don't want you.
I would agree, we go back, we work the ordinance, and we put it back in front of the tax.
I mean, I think this problem's going on for a while. I didn't think we'd solve it in an hour.
They will confirm, you will charge for standby, and it will be this amount. And then it will be enforced.
July 1.
But I don't think it's fair for any of this board to try to enforce something that hasn't been enforced in how many years since its inception.
So, fair enough, but is it fair to also say, if that's the case, that it's fair to the rest of the taxpayers? That if that is the ordinance and we're not enacting it, that's fair to you or anybody else that doesn't have access to it to continue to pay a premium rate on it? And they don't have access to it? I mean, it's both sides of the coin, right?
The other thing is,
Go back to what I said, but
I get it.
I,
I'm not really decided either way.
I think, Dana, too, one of the things that is, for being a little objective here is, you kind of get lost in this, is when it went by your property value. You know, so there's value there for them. It's not like we're asking.
their taxes went up.
Sure. And again, we can stretch this out longer and do a study on how much sewer line increases property value. You know, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of ways to look at it, but it's not like, the reason why there's a standby fee is because of the value. This is why probably 92% of towns and cities that have sewer charge a standby fee because you benefit directly from the value of your property.
Folks, we've been doing a work session, the selectmen's meeting will start at 6 o'clock. We'll take a quick break. Everybody needs to take a personal break. Like I probably do after all as well.
Yeah, well,
So I hung around and waited, nothing, so I got it. I don't know, I might say,
Why not?
We haven't started. Yeah.
No, we're gonna try to figure out screen time.
It's 71 minutes.
It stays in. If you remember that, so it's not allowed.
I will take a look at it, because I didn't set any for.
No, it's, well, just the screen is.
That's all right, I still got my new Max.
Those are your guys' tax office, like.
So we're gonna begin, we've got three quick, hopefully fairly quick public hearings to conduct before the actual meeting begins. So I'll open public hearing number one. That's Lance Person doing business as Bogbrook Botanicals Medical Marijuana Cultivation Facility License Renewal. Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, any questions, comments from the board?
Everything's good, right? No problem. None.
Close public hearing number one. Public hearing number two is Renewal of Gardens LLC Adult Use Marijuana Cultivation Facility License Renewal. Questions, comments from the public? Seeing none from the board.
Everything good there, too, Rick?
Inspection went well. We'll close public hearing number 2. Public hearing number 3, Thompson Lake Caregiving, doing business as the Hideaway, adult use marijuana store license renewal. Public, questions, comments? All good. Board? Close the public hearing. We'll call the selectmen's meeting to order. Please join us in the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Action on the minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Vote. Adjustments to the agenda?
We had one item for the school. Does that still go? The school department sent over their warrant for their meeting later this month, and they need a signature on that. Is that, maybe after this portion is done, could I maybe bring that back up for discussion?
Can you tell me where you want it?
Why don't we, bring it up after 5.1 is over?
That's all. Public comment. If anybody has any public comments, please stand, state your name and town you're from. Going once. Business items, 5.1, recognition of firefighter and police officer. See a whole bunch of them. Welcome.
Yeah, so the police and fire chief, we're gonna come up and do a presentation.
Yes, we want to do some recognition for some officers that went above and beyond, put somebody else's life before their own. And I'm going to start with a fire that happened back in August of last year for 2 of my officers. In recognition of your courageous efforts the morning of August 9th, 2025 at 3 o'clock in the morning, police and fire personnel were dispatched to 201 Steefield Road for a reported structure fire. Upon arrival, there were flames and smoke in a residence where a female was trapped inside with a fractured ankle. First arriving police officers and firefighters assisted the female out of her residence and rendered care until EMS arrival. This heroic and swift action that first responders displayed on this morning undoubtedly saved this woman's life. Caleb Gower and Sergeant Bowie, if you come up here, please.
And then David Black here as well.
Thanks, man.
It's important to me. I just appreciate what you do. Thank you. David Black, yeah. Same thing. Thanks for what you do.
Chief, do you guys want to stand so people can take a picture if they want?
So the second incident that Chief and I found was important to recognize was a car accident that happened on New Year's Eve. In recognition of your courageous efforts during a motor vehicle accident on December 31st, 2025, where the operator went off the road and was entrapped in an upside-down vehicle in the river off of Mechanic Falls Road. The heroic and swift actions that you displayed that night at 1842 hours undoubtedly saved this individual's life. So again, I'd like to bring up Sergeant Bowie, Private Oster, and Private Wood.
No, you can do that.
You can't run away that easy.
Stop doing good things, I guess.
I don't think I know this.
No.
Smile.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for what you do every day. Anybody else from the board?
Thank you again, Jess.
The school item you wanted to add.
I just want to say thank you, guys. I gotta run.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
It is a long meeting, if anybody doesn't want to exit, feel free. Not you, Rachel, you have to stay.
Have a good evening, stay warm.
No, they want to stay. They don't like you and me.
Yeah, buddy.
Alright, so the school board, we have that. So what is the date of that meeting?
So we're having a, referendum on the February 24th and February 10th, is the public hearing.
And I believe this is the purchase of the property is what they're.
Bus garage, right? It's the bus garage deal. Yep.
So they are insistent, there's about, 5 copies there, they're asking, they have 5 originals, please. And they just got that to us today, moments ago.
Is it supposed to be that? Sign the school district wants.
I would just.
Make a motion, we sign the school district warrant for the special referendum in February.
Second it?
All those in favor? Good. Item 5.2. Review and approve Lance Person DBA logbook botanicals.
So, second,
Moving to second, any discussion? All those in favor? To vote. 5-3, renewal of Gardens LLC adult use marijuana cultivation facility. License renewal.
so moved. Second,
Discussion? All those in favor? Vote. 5-4, Thompson Lake Caregiving, doing business as the Hideaway. Adult use marijuana store license renewal.
so moved.
Second.
Ditto.
Discussion? All those in favor? It's a vote. What? I tricked you. 5-5, review approve Honey Badger liquor license renewal.
So moved. Second,
Motion and a second, discussion. Any problems, chiefs?
Whatever ones we had, we cleared up.
All those in favor? It's a vote. 5-6, review approve Wands Inc. doing business as Ocean Shore liquor license renewal.
So moved.
second,
Motion and a second, discussion.
I have a quick question about this. If they are closed to the public other than takeout, why do they need a liquor license?
So I did actually, talk to them and the state, because the, restaurant license actually is more than the takeout license. And they're choosing to keep the higher establishments license versus having to reapply for one in case they eventually go back to sit down. Because you can do, liquor with a takeout. State law was changed on that.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you.
All those in favor? It's a vote. 5-7, review and approve budget committee appointments. There's currently 3 open seats. I'm gonna give every applicant an opportunity to speak if they're here and so choose. You don't have to speak, but you certainly can if you'd like. We're not gonna ask you a bunch of questions. I'm not gonna try to make it difficult. Everybody all right with that? First name on the list, Crystal Deering Robichaud. Hello, Crystal.
Hi.
Would you like to say anything, not to put you on the spot, you don't have to.
What do you want to know?
Well, we have your application, so, if you'd like to tell us how long you've lived in Oxford,
Well, we lived
your
here
interest
in
in,
2009. I work for the school district. I'm in that bus garage that they're working on revamping. So I'm in the buildings that our taxes are paying for every single day. I kind of see it from that insider perspective that the general public doesn't realize. And when they hear about our taxes going up, I can understand it from that different perspective because I physically see exactly how deteriorated properties are around the district and where there really needs to be the whys behind needing to increase the budget.
okay. I just told you we wouldn't do questions and answers, so I'm not even gonna ask them if they wanna ask. Sharon Jackson, welcome.
So I would appreciate being appointed to the committee tonight so I can continue to work on the budget and look at the finances in Oxford. I started working here in the late 90s. I still prepare town budgets as the town manager in Bethel. I've been there for over 2 years now. I prepared the budget in Freiburg for 11 years, Paris for 5 years. I know the difference in preparing the revenue and the expense budget, understand all of that. I also know how to read all of the financial reports because I do that on a daily basis and making sure that everything is budgeted. I have lived here for over 40 years and I've always been involved in town government in some form or another, and I would like to continue by being on the budget committee. back in the late 90s, I was on the budget committee. I was a finance clerk here. So that's how far back my history goes in Oxford finances. So I would appreciate it if you would consider appointing me to the budget committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Libby. Hello, Mark.
Lived here 28 years. Decided it was time to get off the sidelines and contribute.
Joshua Porter.
So I'm Josh Porter. I grew up in Oxford, lived in Oxford all but 8 years of my life. I lived in Waterford for those 8 years, so I've pretty much always been in the Oxford Hills area. I just want to get on the budget committee so I can see where my tax dollars are going, because it seems like they keep going up and nothing has changed on, I mean, yes, my road did get paved a few years ago, but other than that, I'm not seeing any benefit to my taxes more. So I just want to see where my funds are going and see if we can figure anything else out.
Thank you. Joseph Robichaud.
So, been here since 2009 and kind of the same thing as, hey, we just kind of want to know what's going on and where stuff's going, and that's pretty much it.
I didn't see Paula. I'll speak for Paula. Paula's been on the budget committee before. It's been off for a couple of years now, so. Entertain a motion from the board. Anyone?
Was there some talk of increasing that? Did I hear some rumble?
So here's my thought. When I saw this earlier, is we currently have 3 open seats. And there's been several discussions in various ways as far as town meeting and getting more people involved. And it's hard to get people to fill spots on committees, right? So I'm actually excited to see 6 people apply for this. I appreciate it. I was on it last year, and Josh and Joseph, you'll find out exactly where it's going, because that's exactly the reason why I joined last year, and it helps me understand things tremendously. It would be interesting, for sure, for everyone to find out. But here's what I'd like to recommend, is that we change the committee from 7 seats to 9 seats, and that would allow us to appoint 5 people. And just to be completely honest, right, I would ask that Crystal and Joseph just, I assume, husband, wife, related, right? Maybe I shouldn't assume. If one of you picked who maybe would want to be on there more than the other, that would actually allow us to elect all 5 of the people that have applied. I like to see people be involved, and you guys have done that, filled the application out. That's the route I would make a motion to move forward.
How many did we used to have on that? You know, Kathy?
I have a motion and a second.
Whoops, sorry.
So discussion, sorry.
11.
11?
Historically, we had 11 members on the budget committee, and for
It's always been an odd number. Say again?
historically, we've had 11 members for quite a few years, and then for a few years, we couldn't fill all the seats, and we couldn't get enough of the 11 to show up, because you need a quorum, you need a minimum number of people out of the 11 to show up to actually have the meeting and to vote. We had difficulty for a year or 2 getting enough members to show up. So we reduced that number from 11 to 7. We haven't had that problem since, and we've found it very difficult to fill seats. So I would agree with Ernie 100% that it's very encouraging that we have several people that have applied for the seats we have. And I'm willing to increase the seats back up to 9. You really can't do 10 because that's an even number, it kind of just makes things weird. So.
I second Ernie's motion.
Who was the second on
I said I would second her.
Scott had already seconded.
Oh, sorry, Scott.
that? Very much.
So,
He
again.
is not a social butterfly, he is not afraid to know how to do this.
Okay.
I don't even have to ask him.
Totally safe and
Is it a closed meeting? Like, can people,
It is not a closed
could
meeting.
you come and
These
just
these
listen?
are public meetings and anybody that's not on the committee can come. Now, it's not a participation meeting where all the public gets to ask a bunch of questions. You're there to observe the budget committee do their work. Just like when the selectmen have their meeting with the budget, you can come in and observe the work being done. And we encourage people to do that. You learn a lot just in that process. So, that being said, I believe Rashad's made a decision. And we appreciate that. It does make, it would really make it awkward if you're on the committee together and you disagree, but
Wouldn't that be
we don't want to cross that line. So I'll entertain a motion for the 5 names. Oh, wait, we got a motion. Yeah.
Yeah, we motion say, commented.
We motioned, correct. We had a motion and a second to increase the number.
Yeah.
Correct. So all those in favor, increasing to 9. It's a vote.
I'll make a motion to accept the 5 applications we've received.
Minus Joseph.
Minus.
You withdraw, right?
You have to say withdraw.
I withdraw.
I make a motion for the 5 remaining applicants to be appointed to the budget.
Second. All those in favor? It's a vote. Now,
Congrats.
we will, yes, congratulations. Appreciate everybody volunteering. We're going to have to structure, and I think the select board can do this, the terms. So this is normally a 3-year term, but in 3 years, we don't want 5 of our 9 board members getting done. So some of these terms will probably be a 1 year, some will probably be a 2 year, and some will be a 3 year. And I don't know how we want to let the board decide. You can send us your recommendations.
Let me make a recommendation, actually, I didn't even think about this. Each one of those seats probably should have been filled individually instead of a bulk, because each one of them do have a different term.
Okay.
So if you choose who's filling them, that's gonna take care of that term. The bylaws are already set for how your terms work.
We're gonna change those too.
Okay, they will change their bylaws.
So
Budget committee will change.
the selectmen
But
approve.
we just changed them by adding 2 members.
You change the committee, they would do bylaws, but then you would approve their bylaws.
Is this why you two aren't in the same committee?
Right. You both actually were on the committee together.
So would a solution to this problem, not to interrupt, would a solution to this problem be in the order in which these were received?
That would be one solution. Does any of, since everybody's here except Paula, and I bet Paula would probably go for a 1-year term if she
You
could
don't
get
care
away
what
with
it
it.
is, I don't believe it.
Does anybody want to be on for 3 years for sure? Please raise your hand, not trying to make it uncomfortable. There's 2.
I'm fine with anything.
The other 2, I'm gonna mess you up. All right, let's make a note here. Sharon and Mark would like 3-year terms. No guarantees. Crystal and Josh, you're good with a 2-year term if that's what it is, or a 3-year, if it may end up being a 3-year. I don't know, we've got to, you know how we're staggering,
Right.
so everybody doesn't get done all at once. She's gonna try to figure it out tonight.
I don't think we need to figure it out tonight.
No, just if they can
Okay.
do it three.
Yep, okay.
It's gonna keep her up at night, just let her do
I
the
can tell,
process.
yeah.
Being recorded, I'm not saying anything.
It's a long walk home.
So while we wait for that, with that being said, would we like to see amended committee bylaws so that you guys we can change the number and the quorum and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think we need to make some adjustments and the committee can vote on that one day. First.
I would need to appoint my family on to fire, in
Is that a 2-year? 2 years.
It comes to
28 expiration.
She's the one who used to be, maybe the one who did now.
Yeah, we gotta stock up.
Yeah, you might want to find out.
Number 28. One-year expired this year. Current members.
So does Tiffany's.
That's the show.
And then 27.
Richardson. So 229. Or does it matter? So I think we're good with, Mr. Libby and Sharon for the 3-year terms. Crystal and Josh for the 2-year terms. And we can set Paula for a 1-year term, and if she likes it, we'll maybe bring her back for longer. That good with everybody?
Crystal and Josh are 2,
Crystal and Josh are 2.
Mark and Sharon are 3.
Yep.
And Paul.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
If everybody's good, you can do 3 terms in a row, I think, that. 2. That was 3.
3-year rotating term, 9 consecutive year max, and to be appointed as your chair, you have to have been serving on the committee for at least 1 year.
That might be important to another member of the audience, because all the people that were just appointed cannot be the chair of the committee this first year.
Can you be the chair 2 years in a row?
You can.
Then we're good.
No.
Because we already have a chair there.
That will be up to the budget committee.
Yeah, I think we can talk.
Chair. Okay.
That's right, he's not here.
So just a quick note, I have all your email addresses. I will be sending out a copy of the budget schedule that's coming up. I am gonna be looking for some input from folks too, but you'll be seeing that stuff hopefully coming out next week, so you can start getting an idea of the dates and that kind of stuff. And just confirm with me how you want me to contact you and that kind of questions.
And I will send you all a copy of the bylaws, and I will need all of you to come in and be sworn in, please.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Thank you. And the longest discussion in the night, probably, Route 26 town lot discussion, 5.8. We just talked about this.
Again. You want me to jump this off? Yep. Okay, so the last selectmen's meeting, we talked about Route 26 lots. And to bring us up to speed, the selectmen were looking for a little bit of information on both tree cutting and then I called it development possibilities. So I'm gonna hit the development possibilities just because that's a simple one. So you guys directed the town manager to set up a workshop. We've established that for February 5th at 4:30 here in this room with Rob Prue from Pine Tree Engineering to help us discuss potential site development plans. Also, you folks requested a map with boundaries on it. The assessing agent was able to put together, and you'll see that in your packet, a map with boundaries on it taken right from GIS, and she put the measurements of all the dimensions of the property lines. So that's that piece, and so we're good to go. The engineers is confirmed for the 5th. Moving on to the other item that was hopefully for tonight is the tree cutting. And there was questions regarding stumpage removal. So Sappy Forestry, that company does not provide a stump removal service. They did estimate, however, if we hired that out, that it would be approximately $5,000 an acre. Maine Custom Woodlands does do that service. They charge $6,800 an acre. And Day Brothers Logging charges $5,000 an acre for that service. And those are the three, companies that we received some estimates from. So obviously you could tell that it's based on how many acres that we want. That stuff's removed, so. I believe that answers the question you were looking for.
So right now, if I'm not mistaken, where we left off, it was MCW, correct, that it offered us the most in return as far as stumpage. Once they're done cutting without doing any stumpage or anything like that, is that correct? I think it's roughly 20 grand-ish.
I think they're the only lump sum company, right?
Yeah, because Sappy gave us an estimate per acre, like 1 to 200 per acre.
And Sappy, I did include that in there. I mean, an estimate of total return from Sappy after he sent this email here, 8 to 15,000. But again, that's a wide margin.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you also need to take into account, all of these are being very open that this is estimate on the revenues, depending on what they get for material out of there, so.
I thought, well, they did all go look at it.
They did all go look at it, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought Maine Custom gave a lump sum price.
Yes, they did, you are correct. They gave us the estimate on what it might be, or we could take the lower, and it's in their display right here. So that's it. Here we are. Lump sum offer 18,000, or if we want to go with the stumpage route, it's so much per different type of. Thank you.
I don't know if you were to make a motion.
Are we talking just having this cut? We're not talking stumpage, right? I mean, stumping. And what were the numbers again on the different ones?
I think it's like 1 to 200 bucks an acre.
Yeah.
8 grand at most.
Yeah.
Day Brothers.
Nine died.
Do you recall what Day Brothers had offered for stumpage?
Your numbers?
Is it?
Yeah, it's a little flip to it as well.
This is Sewell, right?
You got it right there.
So there is no total number that I see.
He did not give it.
Okay.
It's a strict stumpage, so $305 for pine logs, 40 for pine pallet, 300 for hardwood, 90 for hemlock, 100 for hardwood pallet.
So it may be that easy to figure that out.
No, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the bid for Maine Custom Woodlands to cut it. We take the offer of 18 grand and we leave the stumps the way they are. And we put the money into an account so that when we're ready to move forward, maybe after we meet with Rob Crew and have an idea, we put that money towards conceptual plan or whatever we're going to do with this next step.
Second.
We get all that.
Discussion.
Have a motion and a second discussion.
I mean, I know all of you guys. I was just thinking that I believe the Sewell's got land in Oxford and he is local. I mean, being a local guy and someone that pays taxes in Oxford, sometimes I give them a little shot, but I'm only one.
I would be more open to his offer if I knew more about logs and how much, whatever it was you had said would equate to. I had no clue. And I'm not saying it's fair, but I know Maine Custom Woodlands also has our chipping down the dump and stuff right now, and Ed said they're very clean, very organized, they're in and out.
Oh, good people.
And I do believe, I think he said it would be, he gave us a time frame, what, 3 weeks, I believe?
Yes.
I don't think that's a big job for anyone.
I was happy he said it would take longer than that.
Without a good hard number from Sewell, it's hard for me to go that route. I don't know how much wood is in there. I know they could estimate, but they didn't really estimate. They didn't really estimate.
No,
how much.
I get it. He didn't give you a.
We're not talking a huge job either, so. Scott?
Still think that, I'm still not in favor of the whole 40 acres. I still think the town needs to look at the town's infrastructure and see if the ski field side of that, if we should not hang on to some of that for future. I mean, we have buildings at some point we're gonna have to fix, whether it's highway garage, whether, I don't see.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not talking, we're talking.
And I get that, and I'm in favor of, yeah, if we wanna go in and chip it, then that's fine, but when it comes time to sell that, I will not be one to vote on selling.
I'm not crazy on stone mowing either.
So.
Well, we're not looking to vote to sell tonight. We're just talking about cutting the trees, making it a little more presentable to possibly sell. Or use, even if we're gonna do something. Gonna put a building in there, you're gonna have to cut some trees. Any other discussion? Motion and a second to go with Maine Customs. All those in favor? Vote. Opposed?
We already voted. I'll be opposed.
4-1.
I'm sorry, what was the motion to include what we were supposed to do?
It's to go into an account for improvement and or use of that lot.
Yeah, if we can designate it to that.
If we need to use it for advertising, if we need to use it for improving the lot,
Economic development fund.
something like that, yeah. Is that good?
That's fine, yeah. I just don't think we should spend it till we know what we're going with.
And just to clarify for my own, we are not stumping it, we are only cutting it, right?
Correct.
Excellent.
Stumping business. Another favorite, 5-9, town meeting date, time discussion. Again.
Alright, so the town clerk did put together a time frame for us here on when we would need to have everything tidied up with the budget process so that we could have ballots and so forth printed. And really, if we wanted to try and do a referendum town meeting this year, that pushes us back to March 11th date, that we'd have to have things tidied up. So we can start printing ballots, start having them available for absentees and all that kind of stuff. I don't really foresee that working this year, we're too far. We would need to start the budget process a month ago, I think, at that point. So if I don't mean to, push the issue, but I guess this year, maybe we should stick with a regular open town meeting because of, I think, the time frame piece of that. That's just the manager's opinion. But as far as if we wanna look at other dates, maybe we could look at that, so just wanted to throw that out there, but she did put the timeline together for you folks to look at. Let me know what you folks wanna do.
I probably would agree with the clerk's timeline that it is the big window is, we've gotta finalize the budget, we've gotta get it on a ballot, we've gotta get it mailed out for printing and get it back. And that timeline is just too tight. So, unless somebody thinks otherwise, we're at discussion of changing the date or day of the week potentially. And I'm all ears. Anything we can do to get more people to turn out.
Obviously, if you haven't been here before, I'm on the side of going to a referendum. I agree and appreciate the, definitely taking the time to put that timeline together, it makes sense. You know, it would be, I don't know that's the perfect solution to do a midweek meeting, you know, if that would be more accommodating to the general public, but I would, you know, I definitely think it's worth trying something other than a sunny Saturday in May.
Well, I think you make sense. And to be honest with you, the idea of putting it on a referendum was discussed quite a few times, and I happen to be on the losing side of that battle. But if you look at past history, at our last town meeting, the people were asked that question and they said, no, they wanted to keep it the way it was. I think we'd be crazy to do it this year. If that was, you know, I mean, they want it that way, but do it the way they do it. I'd be interested in anything we could do to get more people. I've been a fan of that for a long time.
Do we want to consider moving it to a midweek date?
No, midweek. I think you pretty much said they liked it on Saturday. That's how I took it. Am I wrong on that, Kathleen? We did.
The people that were here. So
I get it.
The 90 people that show up, a little more than that last year, that show up at the meeting, that's what they want to do.
However,
you
we
know,
voted on this.
if I could say, we'll move it to Tuesday and get 200 people to show up, I'd be all for that. But I don't know which day we should pick that will bring out more people. I just think there's pros and cons for whatever day you pick, so.
I think it's worth mentioning that we voted on this at the ballot box
So you're
too.
gonna lose them.
Are we not?
They had a straw poll.
Straw poll, sorry, yes. On a referendum vote. When the townspeople came into, on a referendum vote, we did a straw poll. And those people actually said they would prefer to have it.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
I agree with you. You're not telling.
So we're
No surprise, the people that show up to the town meeting want a town meeting, the people that go to the ballot box want to go to the ballot box.
Yeah.
Suggestions?
I mean, I think if,
Other towns kind of jump all over the place, I mean, some of them start having town meetings in March, that's not happening, but.
I think Saturday is traditionally what we've been doing is the first Saturday in June. I've worked for other municipalities that they line up with their selectmen's meeting nights, so they'll, you know, Thursday night, town conducts business on the first and third Thursday of the month. So maybe the first Thursday of June, you wanna consider that. That's sort of midweek. Would that work better for people? I hear grocery shopping.
Let's ask Lois. What's
Yeah, I
Lois?
just did, and people go, that's why we have so much traffic out there, because we have these meetings on Thursday night. And people either come home late from work and go grocery shopping, or, well, Thursday night's still the night remained to spend money.
Would you say leave it on a Saturday morning?
I would leave it on Saturday morning, just because the ones that are gonna come are gonna come in, and if they're not gonna come, they're not gonna come. It's what you've got, it would be, this shouldn't ask. In my opinion, we need to do more education of what the issues are, and the thing that he sends to the town meeting on what the different issues, what the warrant articles are. if anything, that's the thing that should be, we should be holding meetings that bring those up as we go along, so that people, instead of just coming to this meeting, well, we don't want more meetings, but we don't actually ever let them know what's coming up. That's important, and when we, the only thing that brings them up is the tax bill. And that, if that's larger, then they're gonna come, because they all found out about it at the same time, and they plan on coming to complain. There could be many things on that warrant article that they also don't agree with, but they don't see them until they get here. They're not showing them what the whole issue is before. And if you don't tell
What do you
them, they're not gonna come.
Should we spend $50,000 of the town's money to send one to every household in Oxford?
No, that's not.
How do you
I'm
get the
saying
information?
we have the opportunity to have public meetings and on your little go-to who-tos, with one topic. And
We've
maybe
got
have once a
3 or 4
month.
budget meetings with the budget committee, we've got 3 or 4 meetings with the select board, all about the budget, that anybody can come to. We've got
But you know,
final-
most people don't know that. How many people sat here tonight that didn't know they could come to these meetings? You don't do, civics went down the drain somewhere. And they just don't know.
Anybody else have any suggestions on the night of the week that we go like this? Chief? Crystal?
What about, so do it on X day, say it's on a weekend, have tiered times. I know personally, I work 7 days a week right now. So if I have times throughout the day that I can make it, I'm gonna figure out a time of that day that I can make it, because I might not be able to make a 4 PM meeting or an 11 AM meeting. So if you do the one day, like say you do a Saturday and you have 3 times throughout the course of the day, it's the same day to still tally out the votes. But then can you like run minutes from meeting A to meeting B?
You could have multiple meetings to give out the information. You can only have one meeting to vote.
To vote, so
Unless you're gonna do a ballot vote.
do the
like a
tiers,
ballot box.
do multiple options and then have come back together for a vote.
Either way, everybody's gotta be there to vote.
Right.
That's kind of why there was some discussion about the referendums. It would give a wider window for more people to participate.
I do think this town is headed that direction. I'm not gonna speak for everybody. Some members have been for it in the past. I love the town meeting format. I've been kind of torn, but I probably can go the other direction. If we can't get people to turn out, everybody wants to talk about their tax bill, but you can't get them to come out to town meeting. They'll turn out at the ballot box in November. So we may be going that way at some point. I don't know how else to do it. At least to try it. Maybe it doesn't work.
Which, by the way, we still have a town meeting, so it doesn't forego the town meeting. There'll still be a town meeting, even if you go to a referendum vote, you still have to have a town meeting, so to get that information out.
A public hearing, town meeting,
Public hearing,
everybody would come and get it all, just like a town meeting, you're just not gonna vote. You would vote the ballot box.
And that's what we were discussing on the timeline. We just don't have enough time to go that route this year. Because we wouldn't be able to get it all in and then get the votes over in ballots printed and whatnot. So it doesn't get rid of a referendum vote, just for the record, doesn't get rid of a town meeting or a public hearing on the budget. It just allows you to vote on that at the ballot box, which in my opinion gives you more time, gives you all day to vote.
I agree. I'm kind of torn because of what everything said. I do, just like when we do go to vote in primaries or in November, you have your chance to do your due diligence and do your research ahead of time before you go. Now, you also have a chance to do absentee ballot to vote if you're busy. The first Saturday in June, I guarantee there's a handful of people that have to work. There's a handful of people that in the early summer probably have some sort of vacation or weekend plan with their family or something else that they're not gonna be here for town meeting. But they have no chance to vote as an absentee ballot or anything beforehand. So that's the angle that I kind of take, where I think I'm gonna probably support a referendum moving forward. Because I think just having it one time, one day, we're eliminating a large percentage of our residents from participating in their vote.
So unless there's anything further, I'm not seeing, or a motion to change the date.
Well, you pretty much can't, I mean, to get that schedule, you can't do anything different if you're at, right? I mean, that's pretty much.
I mean, we set whatever day we want. But, I mean, you could look at, so if you, the week before, the weekend before is Memorial Day weekend, so you're not doing it that
Yeah,
weekend.
probably not.
You're going in more into the summer, it's just gonna get worse. So I guess the question is whether you're gonna pick a different day of the week, or we're gonna leave it on Saturday for this year.
I'll make a motion, leave it on Saturday this year.
I don't need a motion if we're gonna leave it the way it is, but. Unless I get a motion to change it, we're moving on to the next item.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was also discussion about the location.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the school?
That's cool.
We have sent an email to the school to ask if it's available on Saturday, June 6th at 10 a.m. I have not heard back.
Is there a reason why they changed it from, gone from the school over here, huh?
So we had this nice, beautiful new building, and the numbers we had, this is the perfect size.
Right.
But if we did get 150 people,
Right.
we have a problem. So.
Gotta
Even
figure
last
out.
year, standing room.
Yeah, it was
Well, that's, I mean, frankly, he's 100% correct. The first 3 town meetings I was here for, we didn't have enough people to half fill this room. And then we had our first one here, and I think the first one here, I think people came because they were very interested in the building. And then last year there was some hot topics, and so that filled the house, so. And we could go back to the school and there could be 45 people to show up, so.
So it sounds like we need a couple hot topics.
How about not? June 6th is graduation.
It's in the evening.
On graduation day.
No, but to use the school district, the high school.
No.
No, we use the elementary school.
Okay, I was gonna say, that's graduation for the use of the building.
You need a motion for that?
I don't know that we need to decide that tonight, but it needs to be decided pretty soon. Let's hear back from the school, see if they say yes, then we can decide.
What's
We
our
can't vote to
alternative?
go to the school if the school says
What's
no.
our alternative to the school?
Maybe 10, okay.
Have a
Fire
tent,
department.
hot dogs and
The
hamburgers.
bays, I mean, we could pull out the trucks and you can use the bays, but you need a speaker system.
Parking's a problem,
think they did it.
parking's a
You
problem
could
wherever
park,
we go.
you could make do in the back.
We want 200 people, so.
Well, I wasn't actually kidding. I mean, we could get a big tent and put it out back. We could rent a tent.
Yeah.
If you want to do that.
Hot dogs, hamburgers.
That's what I said.
What do you say?
You want your taxes to go up?
BYO.
Oh, don't worry.
No, you guys gonna offer, come on.
I'm not interested in getting on the weather in the town, so.
Let's hear back from the school.
Oh, how about you donate? No problem.
I'll let you guys know.
Take care of my people.
510, review update EMS billing fees.
Fire chief, do you mind speaking to that, or?
Yeah, so I think in front of you, you have a sheet that says medical reimbursement services.
Yep, looks like this.
So as you can see, we use medical reimbursement services for Wyndham. That's the company we pay to handle all of our billing. They're just better at medical coding than us and have a higher success rate in their return. So Sean McPherson had sent myself, Adam, and finance director this recommendation on what he suggests we go up to. Medical billing is typically set by legislature and what Medicare and Medicare and all the insurance companies will reimburse us at. Right now, what you're seeing us, our current rate, we're actually undercharging what company, like what Medicare and Medicare will reimburse us at. So we're basically losing money on what those insurance companies will reimburse us at for transport, non-transport. You can see all the mileage, all that stuff, how it gets billed. Yes, the increase isn't very much, like if you look at mileage, it's only $1, BLS transport, so someone who doesn't need an IV and all the medications we can give, it's only a $35 increase. But basically, right now, we're leaving money on the table. The other thing is if we go with their recommended rate for the next fiscal year, so July 1, 2026 to 2027, they won't go up on our percentage of what the town pays for. So to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. We go up to what insurance companies are willing to reimburse. It's not to the patient so much as what the insurance, unless the patient doesn't have insurance. It's still not a significant increase, and it, saves us money next year on what we're paying in the budget process. Because they charge us 6% right now of what we bill, of what we get reimbursed from companies and people who pay.
When was the last time you had an increase?
Not since I've been here, so it's been over, I've been here almost 2 years, and I haven't increased it since I've been here. I'd have to ask him when we increased last, but not since I've been here.
I feel like it's been quite some time.
I mean,
And
I
this is
thought
pretty
it-
standard across the board. Medical reimbursement services is used widely by most municipalities.
Okay. Questions, comments? Motion?
To approve.
Second. Motion and a second, discussion. All in favor? Vote.
Thank you.
511, abatement number 10, Thomas and Patrice Heckaday. Motion, we don't need to hear from the assessor on this, we have questions.
Does the assessor approve all of the abatements?
She prepares them all for you, yeah.
Right, but you're all set with the,
These are my recommendations for your approval, or if you choose to deny them, then obviously.
Motion to approve.
all?
Yeah, I do them all.
Second.
Motion and a second, in discussion, I would not approve, because I have serious questions on 514.
Yeah, I'll take that away. Let's do this one.
I don't have any opposition to 511 through 513, if you want to lump them together.
Okay, let's go 511, 513.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Vote. 514, abatement, Truman Holdings LLC. Can I get a motion? Thanks, about for discussion.
I'll make the motion to open discussion.
I'll second it for discussion.
Question on, I have probably lots of questions, and I had some notes on some of the paperwork, but this is a mobile home that was on our foreclosure list, I believe.
This mobile home was demolished in March of '24.
Okay. So, but this property, mobile home, was on our foreclosure list. And we have just since discovered that that mobile home is not there anymore. It's gone.
Yeah, I have not seen a foreclosure list, but
Okay.
working with Truman Holdings and their staff, they told me that this was demolished in March of
In
2024
2024, and that they had permission to do so.
from the town, although no demo permit was issued by the town at the time.
Okay. And I'm not disputing.
I
their
understand why you would have
recollection of that.
questions.
So they know when this trailer was demolished,
Yes,
specific day.
yes,
When was the day that the next, and that was 2024.
yes.
So how are we abating taxes in 25 and 26 if that trailer wasn't even there to be taxed?
we were not aware, I was not aware that the mobile home had been demolished.
Right.
And so the tax bill would continue to be generated and sent out,
On that trailer.
yes,
But there's a new trailer there,
that was just installed
just installed when?
recently. Like, very recently, like since Shane became CEO.
Last week, 2 weeks
Since
ago?
Shane became CEO.
Okay, so like 3-4 months ago. Do we need a
October.
permit to bring a trailer into town? To put a trailer on a lot?
Yes,
I need a permit.
yes.
Was that permit gathered? Do we know?
Shane would have issued it.
Okay.
I didn't bring a copy of it.
So these are one of the issues that we've had here for years, long before I was on the board, that mobile homes come and go with, you know, it's there one day and poof, next day it's gone, and nobody knows where it went, nobody drew a permit to remove it or demolish it, nobody drew a permit to bring a new one in. And this is a record-keeping thing on the town's part, which we'll discuss at another point. I just want to be clear that we have the right piece of property there now. It's now generating a different tax bill.
It will
I
for
say
this
property,
upcoming year.
mobile home. Okay,
It was, the new mobile home was not there on April first, so it doesn't affect the 25-26 tax year. It will go out as a new bill for the 26-27 tax year.
I have several questions for the town manager on this, but that can be discussed at another time. Okay. So a motion and a second, any other discussion?
How did they get that and demolish it without notifying the town?
They met with a town representative who, I talked to several employees of Truman Holdings, and they all informed me that they met with our town representative at the property, and they were told that they could demolish it without having taken out a demolition permit.
These are some of my questions that we'll have at another time.
We are attempting, by virtue of some of the paperwork that's in this packet, to tighten up that process. We're also aware that it should have been handled differently, and we are doing our best to make sure it is handled.
In no means do I,
No, I
am I
understand what
insinuating
you're
that they're
saying, but
not
I
telling
have,
the truth. I strongly believe that the Truman Corporation is a very up and up company, and they did what they were told they could do, so.
I would say that as well.
Good.
All those in favor?
Who made the motion?
Floyd motion, Scott seconded. We had discussion, is there not any more discussion? All those in favor of the abatement? It's a vote. Thank you for appreciating it. That's it for business items. Department report, town clerk office updates.
The town clerk was actually gonna go over the results of the site visits that she did regarding the foreclosures.
So I have,
Let me pass these out,
I updated the spreadsheet, I was
front to back.
thank the chief very much for taking me out. We went to all of the ones that had been previously highlighted in yellow with a single wide. Very successful. Here's front back. And with, no, the yellow is done. So, very successful, went very well. By the time we got back, we had a couple that had already come in and paid their taxes, and my deputy and assistant clerk had already received calls. Since then, as of today, we've had 60 of the accounts paid, and then by going out and visiting some of those, we realized that we were assessing 6 incorrect owners. And we had 6 new owners, and they are filling out the change of address. The one of those is the one that you just abated, and realized that that original owner had departed. In speaking with the town manager, he helped me on the ones that we know the owner departed, that we did draft just a little letter stating that the town does have the ability to go after them through civil court to try to, get those taxes that they owed before the bill to the town. So those letters have all been sent back to them. And then I've given you all the notes. So it was successful, it took us an hour, exactly, 2 hours exactly.
Well, thank you for the update. Thank you both for doing that. Because like we reiterated, obviously, I think I can speak for everybody up here that we do not want anyone's property. We don't want to do this process, but I'm glad we get some communication and hopefully get things on the right track. Thank you both for your efforts for doing that.
Good job.
One of the people you visited had contacted me and said they had a great experience. They weren't aware that it's a trailer that was on rented property. Whether they knew or not, said they weren't aware, and I think they came in and filed for the exemption, and so I think as much as terrible as it sounds to foreclose on people's property, I think it's a process we had to do to get these people educated and get the ball rolling, and by the looks of the sheet here, it's already got, a significant amount of that taken care of. But thank you, because this particular lady just said it was what should be a stressful situation ended up being a very pleasant one. I know it's not pleasant to be told you owe money and we're gonna foreclose it. She was actually surprised at how well you handled it, so.
Anything else? Do you have anything else? Town manager.
I was just going to be very brief, a reminder of the workshop again about Route 26 on the 5th, which will start at 4:30. The engineer will be here.
Selectmen items. That's when we had one.
So one thing I'd like to bring up, one thing that was a very hot topic back when I was running to be selectman back last spring and summer. And I know it's been a hot topic of residents in the town for many years now, is what is and where is the casino money going? So as we know right now, the approximate $2 million that we get goes right off the top of our allocation that we need to pay our taxes with. But what I'd like to do is get people's temperature or thoughts on coming up with a different way of using, maybe just reallocating the way we use the casino money so it's out in the open more of what it's going to. And one just hypothetical idea, obviously there's more discussion to be had if you guys are interested, is, for example, if we get $2 million a year from the casino, which is what we average right now, that the first $1 million continues to go to the tax commitment. We can't take that hit all at once. I think that would be way too big of a process to undertake right now. But what we do is whatever that number is, say we take the first $1 million, continue it at the tax allocation, that the second $1 million that we start putting towards capital improvements or debt service and paying things off. And obviously it could be going into funds, savings. So if we need more vehicles in the future, it's something we can pay outright instead of borrowing for every single thing we do. So I'm just curious what people's thoughts are, getting that out in the open and maybe thinking of a different direction of the way we're doing things with that money.
I don't disagree with that. In a roundabout way,
Sure.
that is what's happened for the last several years. And you try to explain it that way. But that is, nobody's pockets up here are getting lined.
No, I don't intend to mean that at all.
It goes, so that is what we've been doing. And we've talked about committing a specific amount of casino money towards something. And that just hasn't happened, especially since the reevaluation and taxes went up.
Okay, so I do understand that, but we've got to see both sides of the coin, because we can all sit here today and say, we're so thankful and that's such a great thing up on the hill, this and that. The day that place closes its doors, how do you plan on making that $2 million up?
Not gonna.
Right.
You stop by laying
So-
people off.
Well,
You make.
or you can head the fence off now and start reallocating your money so that you can absorb a portion of it. I don't think no matter what you do, you're gonna absorb a whole $2 million cut. But I think you can start dwindling your debt service down. I think you can start saving so we don't have to take loans out for things.
I agree. We can take whatever amount we want.
Sure.
And instead of putting that new police vehicle or new
Whatever.
I mean, those are all-
$100,000 capital item, instead of putting that on the budget, we use that portion of casino money. So now that item's not on the budget, but that casino money is also not there to offset. So in the end, it's gonna come out
Correct.
a wash.
Correct. I would like to see the town go towards the avenue of cutting debt service and relying on loans
I'm all
more
for it.
than we are right now.
All for it. Tried to do it with some of our recent vehicle purchases.
I think we take it for granted too much on the casino money, and if something was to happen, it's not gonna be pretty for all of us. I think we need to consider something else, instead of relying 100% on offsetting our taxes on it.
Any board members, questions, comments?
No, but as far as the money, I mean, we bought town truck, we bought cruisers sometimes out of it. We bought a ladder truck out of that money. I mean, those were all things that had happened in the past. You tell people that, they don't always understand it. You know, what are you doing with the money? Well, we did this.
Right, but I guess what my scenario was saying is that when somebody does come to me and say, hey, what happened to the casino? Well, I don't know, I'm just throwing numbers out, $50,000 went to a new police cruiser, $300,000 went to a new ambulance, $500,000 went to a new fire truck. That's where your tax money just went, that's where your casino money just got you.
Yeah, we don't have a special slush fund.
No, I understand, I know you don't, but.
So,
But
weigh in, we know what we get for casino money every month, a check comes in, or is that a week? Weekly check. And that money is allocated when we do the commitment in July, August, July.
Ours. Yeah, when we look at the,
We're looking at the casino money that's coming in for the year going forward,
correct.
not the prior year.
Correct.
Okay, so the trick will be the starting point of this, so if we get to budget season, town meeting, and then setting the commitment, we have to budget very carefully if we're not going to use $2 million of casino money to offset the mill rate.
Exactly.
And I'm with you. But it's gotta be part of the budget ahead of time.
Agree. We're not
Because
gonna
you don't have the money,
turkey.
you don't have the casino money yet, it's coming over the year.
We hope.
So you can't spend that casino money, we can allocate it, but
But
you
we
can't
are.
spend it in June because you don't have it yet.
Correct.
You can, over the course of the year, you can use it to offset the property taxes, but if you wanted to buy a new, if you wanna set $1 million aside to buy a fire truck, and we decide that in June, you won't be able to buy that fire truck until you have that $1 million, which will
Correct.
be at least 6 months.
Oh, I don't think that we're gonna have a town meeting in June and all of a sudden have $1 million in our pockets and we're spending what we want. That's not what I'm implying. What I'm implying is we need to redirect and think about how we're spending the money coming in, because in June, we plan on that for our tax base when we set our tax mill rate. Then all of a sudden we get to November and the corporate company decides to shut the doors. What are you doing about the rest of your plan for that year when we don't get the next $1.5 million? Then what? Because you're counting on that money coming in. You are already, the way we are right now, we're already saying that money is coming to make budget for this year. What if it doesn't come? That's what I'm saying.
Cut. Got to, but we're in agreement. I think everybody in here is in agreement. You've got to
It's process.
be creative, budget process to get to that point.
Sure.
To say, when it comes time for commitment in August, that we're not gonna commit that casino.
Right.
Because we've already committed it to capital improvements or capital funding for future years.
And again, who knows, probably a workshop, whatever it may be, but I think we need to give serious consideration how we're spending that money. I think we need to wean ourselves off it, and instead of using it as such a reliant to keep our taxes down, which ultimately it's still gonna be used towards our taxes, and it's still gonna help keep it down in a different way.
That's exactly right. We're not stuffing $2 million in the bag
No.
every year.
Oh, I wish we could,
Taxing
but
the
no.
taxpayer.
No.
So, yeah.
No, I want less loans, I want less debt service. I don't wanna be drowning in it.
But it sounds like you're saying, if I may, is that, are you saying that right now, the way that the revenue is voted on is, it is all revenue, projected revenues are to be applied towards the tax. That's the way that the warrant article is now.
Mhm.
It almost sounds to me like what you're saying is that you would want a special warrant article specific to casino revenues, which we predict to be $2 million. And maybe potentially it says something to the effect of that the first, my number's not
I
yours.
said million, but whatever.
The first $1.5 million will be used to offset tax commitment, and any additional funds will go towards capital improvements. Maybe something along those lines.
Sure.
You know, and if we wanted to start going down that route, that maybe we kind of tier this in, so maybe the first year it's 1.5, the second year it's 1, you know, I don't have, I'm coming up on my fly here, but something like that, what you're looking for?
Sure.
I feel like, didn't this happen in the past, I'm probably wrong here, that we put some of that money in a fund and then it becomes kind of like a fund balance or undesignated funds, and then it just becomes like the squeakiest wheel gets that when a department head or a department needs something, and it comes before the board pitches their idea, then that's how we purchase. I'd like to see it more like, you know, if we need a piece of equipment, it's something that we plan on for 5 or 7 years, not, yeah, we've got a couple $1 million in this undesignated or fund balance, whatever we're gonna call it, that money that we're not putting towards tax commitment. It's just not a set amount there, and then it becomes the best sales pitch, gets what they need. It's more of that money now is also designated. And we could say, you know, a portion of that money would be designated for debt service, and a portion of that money might be designated for fire department apparatus, or fire department safety bureau, police department, so on and so forth, highway department, whatever. Is that too complicated? Am I over complicating it?
I think the difficult thing is with casino money is we're projecting, we think we're gonna get $2 million. Ernie Fitz is right, we might only get 1.5, or we might get none, depending on state, the legislature could make a change, you know. So, but I think, you know, if we project, you know, we are projecting we're gonna get 2, but what happens if we get 2.5? You know, so I mean, it does, you know, we're using, based on history, we're using the best numbers that we have, which is why we're coming out with $2 million, why that's traditionally been being used the last few years in the commitment. So, I mean, I think if you really wanted to get down to brass tacks and have town meeting vote on those things, my recommendation would go the simplistic route. This much of it will be used to offset tax commitment, and anything over that will go towards capital improvements. I mean, if you wanted to mince it out exactly what account that would go to, like what percentage, we could do that. I think it would get confusing.
But I think in the whole grand scheme of things, as has been brought up several years, is that the whole point of having that, in my eyes anyways, was have that money was to build those reserve accounts back at like we used to, so if chief needs a new police cruiser, that money is there. If, you know, we need to buy a new ambulance, that money is there. Every department head should be submitting a replacement schedule for, okay, so we have that, we should have that information, so, and we should have a ballpark figure of what that replacement cost is, and that's, to me, that's where that money should go, is to fund those accounts, so that when it comes time to buy a new highway truck, we have $300,000 in an account to do that. And not have to, you know, based on our capital improvement purchases, is whether the mill rate goes up, down, whatever. We should be able to keep that steady, so.
the grand scheme of things, we're all saying the same thing, it's
Yeah.
just a different way of getting there and figuring out. Cause I get it, people ask, where's all that casino?
I don't mind what Adam said, I don't care what the theory is, I think that we need to have a serious discussion of weaning ourselves off of the full $2 million and reallocating it towards capital improvement, paying debt service, and doing it that way instead.
Sure.
I would just like to add something to that. Up until 3 years ago, when we had the reval, $2 million was added to reduce the mill rate. That was after the reval. That was never done in the past. In the past, $1 million was always put to the capital accounts and put there. And then the board would vote on an amount to offset the mill rate. You never saw 2 million like you did the last 3 years. That was only to keep the mill rate down, because if that 2 million hadn't been used, the mill rate would have been extremely high. But the board has always used the remainder of the casino money to put into the capital reserve accounts. And it was distributed in different accounts. So it was used to pay for police cruisers or whatever else it was. It was always done that way, even before I was on the board.
So that's just what you're looking.
Yeah,
Get back to
right,
that.
but now we're what, 3 years in, and
And-
we're still using the full 2 mil to rely on it.
And again,
We're gonna
it's
get caught.
because it's the last 3 years, and it was after the reval, because everything spiked so high that if that 2 million hadn't been used, you would have seen the mill rate increase by a good 2 mils or more. I mean, we were always given several estimates on what the mill rate could be. And the board, for the last few years, decided that it was better to take all of that money. And again, it's estimated the next year. It's just like excise tax. When we list the excise tax and other revenues we're gonna get, that's not a guarantee. We're just estimating revenues every year.
So I understand, and I get that. I guess what my point is though is, you probably understand this, I don't mean it that way, but is that we're still gonna use the 2 million, but let's eliminate debt. We're still gonna use it to buy a highway truck or whatever that purchase may be, instead of financing it. And it may there's gonna be some growing pains. Like you said, we're not just gonna do it all at once. We're still gonna use that 2 million to help keep our mill rate down. It's not just gonna go into a fund to not be used.
Right, you're going to use it instead of budgeting the money.
Correct.
But what
It'll
I'm
be less
saying is,
budgeting, right?
what I'm saying is, yes, we always did that. The excess that wasn't put in to keep the mill rate down was always used instead of having to budget money. And that can be used for the purchase of vehicle or equipment, so you don't have to budget it. Or you can look at a process of paying your debt down, whatever you want to do.
But right now, we're just budgeting everything.
No.
I don't know how many times, you said somebody wanted something, and you would say, we can use, whatever it was, so we don't have to put it in the budget. So whatever account you were getting it out of, whatever you wanna call them, reserve or otherwise, we've been doing that, not as, maybe as large amounts as it was before, but then again, it's.
A lot of the purchases were made by using the excess funds through undesignated fund balance. And the purchase wasn't added to the budget. It was taken from the fund balance, where the excess money is put, the same place where all excess revenue is put.
Right. So do you disagree that if we continue to rely on $2 million from the casino, that there is a chance we could get caught?
Oh, absolutely. We've talked about that for years.
Okay, so 3 years now, we've continued to rely on it and we haven't done nothing. So when are we gonna do something about it to go back to the way that it was?
Well, I think you have to look at what your budget is.
Sure.
First.
Just say no to something else.
This year.
Yeah.
The answer is this year.
Oh,
If you're gonna have to start saying.
you ain't gonna tell me.
I also think we've made cuts on the budget every year for the last 3 years, our budget. But the school and the counties keep going up. And I know we break it down on the bill, but I don't think people really understand that it's their services they're cutting, even though the ones are going up from the county and the schools and whatever.
All right, we got some potential lengthy other items here at the end, so. Work in progress, and we will work it out. So, any other selectmen items? Seeing none, we're on the sign warrants.
That's where I get them
We like tabs.
Just to repeat that, so you're gonna see the marijuana licenses and the appointment papers coming at you here as well. Vacants. Vacants, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You bet.
Any questions? Yes. We don't have any, we don't have any issue, I probably should have this something slightly. We don't have any issues with the immigration and customs in town, do we?
No, not at all.
Well.
You can't show the faces, you gotta wear masks. I wear that.
I didn't think so, but the way the alarms are sounding,
Yeah.
you know.
There's been a lot of discussion from neighboring agencies, but we haven't had it.
Do you have a policy in place?
Other than we assist other law enforcement.
If somebody's being
agencies
bad,
in
you'll
that.
take care of it? Other than if somebody's being bad, you'll take care of it?
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't do it right. Not this time. I've been clean 16 years. Go back. Have a good night, Greg. Throw me out.
One of the things
Well, you got thrown out.
I can't talk to them.
Good night, Wayman.
I think that on your tax bill, if you literally stated how much would have been and how they do that.
Yeah.
If you didn't, if you showed that you used X number of dollars from the casino to reduce the mill rate, I think it should be right on there. There's another case.
Oh, it should be.
It should be.
Oh, my God.
Which I don't want at all.
We don't communicate.
Louis, I got a strong feeling that if you start cutting services, they'll start going to school board. See, they don't do anything with the school budget because they don't have to, but if you start cutting services, because we try and keep the tax rate down, we bring them to the school board, and they can start going to school board meetings. And that stuff it goes by with flying colors. The schools say they want it, they get it, which sometimes they need it, but if that's the problem, if the school's a big problem, then we need to show up to school.
But I don't think we should.
Got one coming up next month?
Yeah. I'll be at the one on the 5th for the bus garage. Anybody wants to carpool, no.
Be a lot of people from Paris there too.
February 10th.
Is the vote.
What is it? No, 5th is our meeting, right?
The 10th is the public hearing.
I got it ready.
Can I get a motion on the warrant since you're signing?
Make a motion to sign 75 through 81.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You need to get this.
Tired.
Make a motion to go into executive session, discuss personnel matters pursuant to MRSA Title 1, Chapter 13, Section 456A.
Okay.
All those in favor? It's a vote. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah.
Out of here, Scott. See you, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.
This is you stuff.